Hello, I'm Nick Hitt. I'm a communications officer in the United States Army, and today I'm going to talk about how leaders can foster creative thinking in organizations. Leaders today are facing ever more challenging decisions, and the solutions of yesterday's aren't exactly working with the problems of today. Creative thinking gets at exactly this issue. It enables leaders to make decisions by helping them identify problems and generate new solutions and options. I think it would be fair to say that we should expect our leaders to solve something and also to enable us followers to solve some of our own problems too. Thus, not only do we need creative thinking leaders, but we need leaders to be able to foster creative thinking for us. How exactly can leaders foster creative thought? To answer this, I first have to explain what makes people creative. What you see here is a chart that represents Theresa Model's confluence approach to creativity. The idea is that creativity arises at the intersection of expertise, creative thinking skills, and motivation. Expertise is a deep knowledge and/or experiences in a specific area. We refer to it in the Army as subject matter expertise, or a SME. Creative thinking skills are those personality traits, working styles, thinking styles, and techniques, like brainstorming, that can help generate ideas. Finally, motivation is our willingness to do something, and it can be either extrinsic or intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is based on an external influence. Think of the carrot and the stick. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is something internal to individuals. It's our passions, it's our interests, or even it's just the rewarding work that we do. Having just these components isn't enough, though. People need opportunities to be creative. This is where creative thought processes comes in. This is an example of a creative thought process. These components are very typical to other decision-making models in use today, especially in the Army. More research tells us that in this four-step process, step 1, problem identification, and step 3, response generation, or coming up with solutions, rely heavily on creative thinking, while the other steps don't. With both the confluence approach and the creative thought processes that provide us opportunities, we've got enough to start inferring how exactly leaders can foster creative thinking. Based on these models, there's some aspects that leaders can directly influence, while others have to be through an indirect route. The ones that directly carry over are the skills, both subject matter expertise and creative thinking skills, as well as the use of creative processes. Leaders simply have to teach or enable growth in skills through experiences, and also use the creative thought processes in order to foster these components of creative thinking. In order to impact motivation, though, both extrinsic and intrinsic, leaders make the biggest impact on creative thinking by using an indirect approach. Leaders can impact our intrinsic motivation through the social environment, similar to what we refer to in the Army as the organizational climate and culture. They can impact the social environment first by encouragement from both supervisors and from organization leaders as a whole. This includes feedback and support. Second, by assigning individually challenging tasks near the extent of an individual's abilities, not too far out of reach and yet not too easy. These could be complex, work-intensive, or short suspense assignments. Third, by allocating the right level of autonomy or giving individuals the right amount of freedoms in choosing what they do and how they do it. Fourth, with work group features. The features refer to the right mix of people, different expertises, different experiences, different personalities. Diversity, but the right diversity. And then lastly, by providing resources, mainly time and money. Extrinsic motivation, on the other side, it requires an indirect approach, but it's because it tends to kill creativity when it's used directly. This happens when rewards and punishment are used to foster creative thinking, but what happens is it distracts people from their intrinsic motivations. For leaders to use extrinsic motivation effectively, it has to reinforce one of the other areas, whether it be the social environment to get at the intrinsic motivation, or rewarding time for growing expertise and skills, or by using rewards during the non-creative phases of the creative processes. For example, leaders can provide rewards for more autonomy and resources for a project, or by using rewards as incentives to complete the preparation phase. Now, this stuff isn't rocket science, but how often has one of our bosses or supervisors done just the opposite? They give our coworker the task that we wanted to do or that we were really interested in doing, and they give us the task well beyond our abilities, along with too much autonomy and not enough encouragement. Then, not surprisingly, we make a mistake or we fail. Out of fear, they tighten controls on our time, resources, and dictate what we can and can't do. Yet, if leaders wanted to get the most out of us and produce the most valuable works and ideas, why not align individuals to organizational missions from the start? Fostering creative thinking is not just for supervisors, though. To get the most out of people's creative thinking, organizational leaders need to foster creative thinking across all the layers of leaders in an organization. They also need mechanisms to assess their ability to foster creative thinking, especially with the social environment. And lastly, they should also incorporate fostering creative thinking as part of their leader development or leader training programs. Fostering creative thinking is particularly important to me as an Army leader, but the implications go well beyond just the military. And we should care that all leaders can think creatively and can foster creative thinking in others, because we depend on each other to solve problems. And we don't want to have to solve the same problems more than once. Without creative thinking, we may not be able to identify the true problem. And without leaders who can foster creative thinking, we significantly limit our potential solutions. Thank you.